Hey there, Sagittarius. Let's talk about what 2025 has in store for you. And this is definitely a year where you may feel that you are pulled in multiple directions due to the planets that are affecting all of the four major corners of your chart. When that happens, it gives us this feeling of craziness and busyness, and you definitely may already be feeling that, but I tell you what, some amazing things are coming through. So let's start it out though with where the year is starting. Now we're wrapping up 2024 with Mars, the planet that gives us that ability to want to move, to it's our drive, it's our energy, it's our determination. That guy has gone retrograde now. That doesn't happen every year. But when it does, our energy levels fall off. We kind of fall behind the eight ball a little bit, or we feel like we are, right? And so Mars retrograding in your 10th house has you kind of looking to where you're putting your energy into what you do for work, for your career. Now, there's a lot of reassessment that happens with this. And with that reassessment may come these points of certainty and clarity, and then all of a sudden confusion and absolute fatigue where you don't want to do any of it, right? That's kind of a hallmark of that. You may have already been feeling that, but where this is happening is in that 10th house. So we start out this new year really focused on your career, how you look in the public, how the world sees you. Um, and that's definitely a pretty major, big start to the year, right? Reassessment of where you're going and what it is you want to be and what you want to do. Now, some other things that are that's at the 10th house, which immediately down here at the bottom, we also have these Pisces and Virgo eclipses that are happening in that fourth house of home and family. Eclipses bring new beginnings, so that's trying to happen in your house of home and family. So we've got that. We've got this new career energy that's happening up here, what pathway you're taking. And then on the other sides, we have, the Gemini, Jupiter transformation that's going to be happening, where this 12-year cycle of Jupiter, the planet of luck, opportunity, and expansion, is moving into your opposing sign of Gemini. So when something happens to Gemini, it impacts you just as much. So that's going to be impacting over here, Gemini, that rules your seventh house of marriage, partnerships, relationships, friendships. Jupiter is growing and expanding you. Whether you're partnered or not, Jupiter may help you find that partner. It helps you find that soulmate. It helps you find the friends that are like minded. It's working in that area. But then on the other side of it, it's working on the very beginning of your chart, right there at your ascendant, where it's trying to grow and expand you by getting you out of your comfort zone and doing things as well. So these are just all over the place. But then we're starting out the year with no energy to make it happen, right? That ends February 23rd. So it's not like this is the whole year of it. You will have energy. Right now is more so a reassessment period. And where it's retrograding out, like I was saying, it once it starts to go direct, it's going to be having you looking at your relationships with how you make your money. How is it that you act with your money? Mars wants us to really look at our motivations and sometimes where we may be impulsive. That's what Mars and Aries really, kind of do. So with um, with all of this energy of Mars in Cancer, when it's retrograding back into Cancer, that's when it's going to be going into this eighth house of debts. And then you couple that with Jupiter moving into Cancer in June, that's going to be hitting this eighth house as well, where it's going to be bringing you lucky opportunities with money again. We're letting go of some things in there when it comes to those debts. We're recognizing how we are responsible when Mars has been going through there. But then when Jupiter starts moving through, this is a once in a 12-year cycle. Remember, I was saying it's in Gemini now, but when it moves into Cancer in June, it's moving into that eighth house of yours. And when Jupiter moves into there, this is a time frame when our debts become really apparent. Oh, excuse me. And opportunities appear for you to pay off these debts. Now, the eighth house, it's not how we are making our money. It's not the money we're earning. It's the money that we get from other people. So that's where it's considered the house of debts because you're taking money, you're borrowing it from others. It could be your partner's money that they make, it could be inheritance. And when Jupiter goes through, it means those funds are increasing and you are the beneficiary as a result. So this is a year where you're going to be finding that some good things are coming in that area in terms of you really being able to chip away at those debts. Absolutely. So that's a huge thing. And looking at it as Mars retrogrades through Cancer at that same time. Well, not at the same time, but it's right now. It gives you the idea of what steps to take forward. So now that's the money sector. We talked a little bit about sector as well too. I'm going to get back to that again though because that's where we're going. So 10th house deals with our career. We know that the eclipses are happening here. Now, it's not just the eclipses that are going to be happening here. We also have the north node and the south node. Wherever the eclipses are, that's where these the north node and south node are, and that's where our soul's trajectory is working towards. These work in 18-year intervals. The eclipses work in 10-year intervals. And so what they do is they look to see what's old and outdated and not working anymore, and they come to bring you something new. This is happening in the career house, and then it's opening down in the it's opening a window down here in the fourth house of home and family. So those things are also going to be coming into question quite a bit this year. How do the dynamics of these situations work? Are they fitting for you? Are they giving you back the energy that you're putting into it? Now, this could be, especially with eclipses, let's look at it down at that fourth house of home and family. This could be where, um, you are feeling like your domestic dreams, what they are, you're solidifying what they are, you're recognizing and realizing where you want to live, who you want to live with, what family looks like. It doesn't have to be nuclear family, right? This is where these eclipses really bring that type of energy to light. They bring it to focus, they bring it to the forefront for you to really, really see. Now, what I like about this as well too is that this fourth house of home and family, another major event that's happening for you, that's kind of going to be like a bit of a breath of fresh air, is that Neptune and Saturn are finally going to be leaving there. They're giving you a preview of what that looks like this year, and then they finally land in there in 2026. You'll get a really, really good idea of how this works. But really, what that's doing, Saturn is restructuring what home and family looks like. Neptune is dissolving away any belief systems, any traumas that may have happened that are surfacing that are keeping you from having a connection with family. These are things, maybe some inherited belief systems that you have brought on from family that you just know they don't fit for you, but you've adopted it because it's like a family motto or something along those lines. It's something that you don't believe. This is where it's going to be letting that go. These eclipses help to bring that to light. They help bring it to the surface, but then you also have Saturn and Neptune working to dissolve that away. Saturn helps to rebuild the foundations of the damage that's been done. They've been in there. Saturn has been there for 2.5 years. Neptune has been in there since 2011. 2011. So it's a lot of time frame of issues coming to the surface around family, around home, around your parents, around the dynamics of that. And not only that, but also your emotional health and your emotional well being. And so now that these guys are finally leaving, it frees up this energy for you to really move forward, especially now that we're working in tandem with these eclipses that are trying to bring new energy for both areas for you there as well. So that's definitely something that is going to be a huge thing. Now, as they leave that fourth house, though, Saturn and Neptune are now going to be moving into that fifth house for you. So you're really going to start getting serious about finding what brings you joy and contentment. I think that's going to be the big thing, especially with Neptune. That's the planet of creativity, that's the planet of psychic insight, psychic intel. So as it's going through into that, into Aries, into that fifth house of yours that deals with those creativity, deals with our personal power, all of those things, that will be coming more to the surface for you now. I think maybe you'll be able to find ways to express yourself creatively that you haven't been able to before. And in that process, find things that really make you happy. Because remember, we're looking at all of this being pulled in different directions to find what it is that you want. You have this energy moving into the fifth house to really help you solidify what that is as well. So that's a positive. Um, Getting serious about what brings you joy and contentment. Absolutely. So I love that. Now, we talked a little bit about Jupiter going through the eighth house, yeah, paying off the debts. Um, let's talk about that one too, I guess. You know, it's not just about like money that we have in that eighth house. The eighth house is kind of the land of the unknown, and it can also be our karmic debts that we have as well too. So this could be a process in a year where you're reviewing and releasing any karmic debts, karmic vows that you may have, especially if it comes around money, career, what you do for your life purpose, um, your personal power, and relationship. If it has to do with any of those, this is a great year for that to for Jupiter to really help heal those things as well. So now we're going to be looking at uh the moons, the moon cycles. We can manifest things that we want really at any of the new moons and the full moons in the month. But there's certain ones that are going to be a little bit stronger for us to manifest what it is that we want. And so for you, those are going to be the Sagittarius moons. If you want to manifest, you do it at a new moon. You want to release, you do it at a full moon. Manifesting at the Sagittarius new moon, that's going to be December 19th for you. That's when the energy is going to be just a little bit stronger, especially if you've taken this year to really find what it is that brings you joy and happiness, because that's kind of the key to your success. Now, if you're ready to release some things, the Sagittarius full moon that happens June 11th, that's going to be the one that really helps you to let go and surrender the parts or the things, the memories, the emotions that just aren't working anymore. Absolutely. So now we're going to move on to birthdays. All of the things that I said here are valid for all of you, Sagittarius, but certain astrological timing and lineups that are happening this year are going to be for certain birthdays. Now, your birthday might not be in here. That doesn't mean that nothing's going to happen. You might find that actually all these things happen. It just depends on your personal chart. If you want to look at your personal chart and what Jupiter's doing, what lucky breaks it's bringing for you, where it's bringing them, where these eclipses are actually going to be happening, bringing new beginnings in, you look at your personal chart. And I have a link below where you can actually get a reading with me. We do it by Zoom and we can go over all those things. If it's something where maybe you are getting into astrology and really enjoying it yourself, I've also created, finally, after all these years, a digital astrology planner for 2025, link below for that as well, where you can follow what the moon is doing during the month. You can see what the astrological influences are. There's a great Astrology 101 kind of mini book that's at the beginning that breaks down all the planets, all the houses, what these things mean, what the year has in store, periods of opportunity for all of us to take, when to do certain things, sign contract, all that stuff. It's just great stuff that's in there. But it also has the influences for each day of the month, what's happening astrologically. And then for the months, I have a new moon and full moon, speaking of, where it goes really into detail about what that new moon cycle is, what that full moon cycle is, and some journal prompts to really help you get into the energy and really, really infuse that um, in your daily life, right? But anyway, back to birthdays. So, November 22nd, just November 22nd. If this is your birthday, Saturn is making a really positive connection to your sun. And Saturn is that planet of um, forward thinking and long term goals. So you might be finding that that is something that you are very much focused on this year, is focused on your long term goals and your personal growth. Now, rewards are going to be appearing for you for hard work you've actually already put in. Most likely hard work from last year. I'm going to actually dial that back a little bit more. When the eclipses were happening in your sign, this was back in like Geez, oh Pete's. Sagittarius and Gemini. 2020 in that area, 2020, 2021 in those 2 years. This could actually be bringing you the rewards from the hard work that you've put in then as well. The other thing when Saturn is making a good connection, no matter what, Saturn is always trying to mature us and to grow us. And so when it's making a positive connection like this, you're growing and maturing in some amazing ways this year. And that might also mean taking on new responsibilities. And we know all the major sectors of your chart are getting lit up this year, right? Home, family, career, relationship, yourself, all these things, right? Now, with the increased responsibilities that come from these areas is going to come new boundaries that need to be put in place, whether that's setting limits with other people because you just don't have time to do everything. Maybe it's saying no to events. Maybe it's setting limits with yourself. Maybe you're finding that doom scrolling on TikTok is eating away at your energy, and then you don't have the energy to do what you need. You're setting limits now for how long you're going to let yourself do these things. It's actually a really, really beneficial thing to have Saturn working with you because Jupiter naturally rules your sign, right? And Jupiter is the opposite of Saturn. Jupiter is like 1 foot on the gas, and Saturn is like 1 foot on the brake. They don't really work together really well. Jupiter likes excess, it likes to keep going, it loves fun, it loves happiness, and it loves joy. It doesn't like restriction that Saturn likes to throw out. So Saturn working with you this year is actually going to be really beneficial, especially if you're setting limits. That's November 22nd. Hey, November 22nd again. November 22nd to November 25th, Pluto is going to be making a really harmonious connection with your sun as well. This is the planet of transformation. So this is a year where introspection, reflection, and kind of being that proverbial caterpillar to a butterfly is really, really pertinent. You're making major changes with minimal effort. I think that's what's cool about it. I think that's the power of Jupiter that rules your sign is that when you have faith that things can work out and you don't focus on that and the worry about it, magic can happen. And so I think that that's part of it with Pluto working with you is that these major changes can happen with not as much effort as you think as it's going to take. You're shedding away layers of yourself that just don't work anymore for you. They don't fit you anymore. It's the outdated version of you. You don't want it no more. You just don't want it no more. Especially if they're layers of yourself that aren't even you, that they're from the family dynamics we talked about earlier, that these eclipses are helping to shed away. Now, this is time to be really true to yourself. The right people, the right opportunities, they're going to be coming to you. You just have to know when to jump. You just have to have that faith to know when to jump. So if your birthday is December 20th to the 22nd, Neptune is going to be out there squaring your sun. So Neptune is that planet that likes to dissolve away the boundaries that we set up. It's the planet that helps us to dream and it helps us to get in connection with our higher self and our spiritual self. Now, life may feel a little bit confusing this year. I'm going to be honest because there's so much that's going on in your chart, and then you add this layer to it. And on its shadow side, Neptune can feel like the fog is rolling in. So you may feel that at times this year that you're kind of lost, maybe confused, or maybe you're just treading water. Like it's just like no matter what you do, you're not making any headway. But really, truly, you are behind the scenes. When those times happen, just surrender to it, right? Fighting against it, trying to get people to see your view, trying to force something to happen, it's just going to deplete your energy and it's going to push that goal further away. When these things come up, you're just going to say, okay, I'm surrendering. I'm asking the universe to show me signs, to give me peace and help me to get through until the answer comes through. And the more that you can do that, the more the universe can act on your behalf and bring you these blessings. You're exploring your spiritual self more this year. You're exploring your connection with the divine more this year. You're checking out those creative sides of you, like we were saying earlier, because when you're in touch with these things, you're not so focused on worrying how everything else is going to work out. You're actually more focused on the universe pulling through for you. You're connecting with your higher self, and you're not worried You're not pushing against the stream because you're trusting the process, right? Surrender and release. That's exactly what Neptune asks. And it says that awareness and answers come from within. So just know that that's going to be the case for you as well. So that's everything that's happening for you, Sagittarius. Thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful and blessed 2025.